Morning, fourth graders, and welcome to your next grammar lesson. Happy Wednesday. Today we are talking about how to write addresses and where to put the commas. It's kind of a punctuation lesson. So when we write an address is the location of a home or a business. And people use addresses to locate a home or business or to send mail. So we might use an address to type into Google Maps to tell us how to get somewhere. We might, if we want to send a letter or pay a bill, the address will tell the post office where to send it. Do you know your address? Because you also need to know your address if you call the emergency services and want the police or the fire engine or somebody, or if you get lost, it's always helpful to know what is your address. Hopefully you know yours. So an address has 3 lines. The first line is always the name. If you're writing the address, it has the name of the person or place that you're writing to, the name of the person or the business, has the number and the street, and it has the city, the state, and the zip code. And you'll notice that the state in the United States is always just 2 capital letters represented. So CA here is the 2 letters for California, and for Washington State, it's WA. Every state has their own 2 letters that show which state they are. So you don't have to write Washington out. You can just write WA. So when you're writing an address, it's important that you capitalize all proper nouns and that you put a comma in between the city and the state. And here's an example for Disneyland Park. 1313 Disneyland Drive, Anaheim, California, 92802. So the comma goes in between the city and the state. And you'll notice Disneyland Park, Disneyland Drive, Anaheim, and California, they all have capitalized letters. The beginning of the names of the business, the names of the streets, the name of the city, and then the 2 letters for this that represent the state are all capitalized. Okay. So if we're looking at this address for Peter Piper Pizza, 9047 Baseline Road, Mesa, Arizona, 85209. Where will the comma go? Remember, it always goes between the city and the state, and that's the last line. And so Mesa is the name of the city, Arizona is the state, so we're going to put the comma right here. Okay? And then the zip code, the 5-digit zip code. So if we're to write our school address, we would have Spruce Elementary School, 17405 Spruce Way, Linwood, Washington, 98037. And you can see that we would put the comma just after Linwood because Linwood is the city. Okay? We always put the comma between the city and the state. So we put it here. We also capitalize Spruce Elementary School because that's the name of the business or the location that this address is for. Spruce Way, that's the proper noun, it's the name of the street. And Linwood is the name of the city, and Washington, the name of the state. This is a truncated version of our state, okay? All right. Sometimes though, when we're not just writing the address on an envelope to list the 3 lines like we've just seen, sometimes we might be writing it in a sentence. Then you need a comma somewhere else as well. You need a comma between the street, the city, and the state. So if you were to write, he lives at 173 Market Street, Houston, Texas, 77001, you keep that comma between the city and the state, but you also need one after the street. So where do the commas go for this one? The sentence says, the library is at 57 Forest Drive, Seattle, Washington, 98101. So we need the comma after the city, between the city and the state. But when it's in a sentence, we also need a comma after the name of the street, which here we can see is Forest Drive. So we would put the comma for Forest Drive and then after Seattle. So at the end of the street and the city. Okay. So if we were to write our school address in a sentence, We might say our school is at 17405 Spruce Way, Linwood, Washington, 98037. So we need a comma after Spruce Way because that's the name of the street. We also need a comma after Linwood because that's the name of the city. Why do you think there are commas in addresses? Why do we need to worry about this? We need to worry about this because just imagine you are reading this in a sentence. Spruce Way, Linwood, Washington, da 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 da. What if you didn't know where the street name ended and the city began and you couldn't figure out where the city was because all of the whole sentence all ran together? The other thing is that remember when we're reading, commas tell us where to take a breath sometimes and where the end of a phrase is. And so commas kind of tell us when to take a breath. They tell us where the end of a phrase or the end of a significant part of a sentence is. So kind of breaking up the address into the important parts is important. Okay, now that you have watched this video, you are going to go to the Google form on your Canvas assignment. And it has just 5 questions. You're going to type in your name. And you have been given an address. Michelle Tanner, 1882 Girard Street, San Francisco, California, 94134. And you need to type in the answer for this address correctly. Where will you put the comma? Will you put capital letters? Okay. It's already laid out in the 3 rows for you. Everything is spelled correctly. You just need to put the comma in the right place and change the capital letters. Okay. Same for the next one. Mickey Mouse, 500 Buena Vista Street, Burbank, California, 91521. Okay. And the same for Ramona Quimby, Klickitat Street, Portland, Oregon. Write the address correctly. Fred Flintstone, I think it's meant to be Flintstone. Okay, see where the comma goes and where you would capitalize. Now the last one doesn't say write the address correctly, it says write the sentence correctly. The bakery is on 3320 Columbus Drive, Tampa, Florida. Remember, when we are writing the address in a sentence, you also need a comma after the street name. Okay, have fun with this one. See you later.